everybody. You ready for another chapter of Lemons? Chapter, it's gone. Chapter 41, titled A Nest. Do you remember the end of the last chapter, or in the last chapter, Lem schooled Tobin about how to stand up to those kids that were maybe not being so nice, and how if they just play together, they'll all get over it and become friends. That was interesting. I don't know if this next chapter is going to be about that, more continuing, or since it's titled A Nest, in my brain, I'm like, a nest, maybe from a bird or an animal or something. So maybe it's something Bigfooty, but we shall read and find out, won't we? Chapter 41, A Nest. But Miss Dickerson, Tobin starts. Yes, Miss Dickerson, What? You made the peanut butter ones? He looks at me. Come on, I mouth, pointing to the hands on his Bigfoot watch. We're going to be late. He puts his hand over the green receiver. She's had another sighting and made the peanut butter ones. Polaroid, I ask. Miss Dickerson, Tobin says. Miss Dickerson, did you get a picture? He looks at me and shakes his head and then listens some more. You found what? He asks. Really? Roofed or unroofed? His eyes find mine again, and they're wider than I've ever seen them. He covers the receiver again. She found a nest, he whispers. After Tobin finally hangs up, we lock up shop and race our bikes through town to Mr. Harold's ranch. Tobin set up a daytime expedition, and some of the kids agreed to come along. Yesterday wasn't perfect, but anything's better than a dodgeball to the head, and that's a pretty good place to start. So what does the nest look like? I shout over to him. He's pedaling fast on his fire engine red bike, with the black leather case and a yellow legal pad strapped over the rear wheel. They're very intricate, he hollers back. And there's no way an animal without opposable thumbs could create one. Branches are intertwined, and some have roofs and others don't. She says this one has a roof. Where did she see it? Just past the tree line, back by her garden. She thinks a Bigfoot has been stealing the vegetables from her garden and stashing them in the nest. But no Polaroid? No, he says. But she's positive she can see the structure through the branches. Do the Bigfoot eat vegetables? I ask. Of course. What do you think they eat? Well, actually, I was worried it might be 10-year-old girls. Tobin snorts. None that I've ever heard of. They're omnivores, so they eat food of both plant and animal origin. Animal origin? In addition to vegetation and berries, animal meat, deer, squirrel, stuff like that. What else? I ask. What do you mean, what else? Like Twinkies or something? I laugh. I would bet you $1 million no Bigfoot in its right mind would eat a Twinkie. They only eat real food, he says. Twinkies are real. They are not. They don't grow on a Twinkie tree. Well, they're still real. You can see them. They exist. Okay, fine, they exist. I'll give you that one. But what in Sam Hill is so great about them anyway? I think about it. It's got to be the cake to filling ratio, I tell him. The what? He looks over at me. The snack cake to filling ratio is just perfect. Just enough filling to go with every cakey bite. You never have too much filling or too much snack cake. The wrong ratio will ruin your dessert every time. An exaggerated blast of air blows up the brim of his safari hat, telling me we're done with the whole conversation about Twinkies or any Twinkie-eating Bigfoot. So are we going to check it out? Miss Dickerson's sighting, I mean? Yeah, after this. There they are, he points to the others waiting at Mr. Harold's iron gate. There's 3 of them. Joe Kelly, Eliza Rose, and Bo Stitch. It's only about 100 degrees out here, Bigfoot Hunter, Bo hollers at us, swinging his bangs. Are we doing this or what? Guess what, I say to Eliza Rose, putting my kickstand down in the dirt with the tip of my tennis shoes. We got a call from Miss Dickerson, and she thinks a Bigfoot is actually eating the vegetables out of her garden. No way, Eliza Rose says. Yep. Are we gonna sit around here yakking or what? Bo complains. Yeah, what's the plan, Tobin? Joe Kelly asks. Mr. Harold said he'd meet us at the house, Tobin says. Let's head there and then decide how we're going to do it once we get into the woods. We saddle back up on our bikes and pedal up the long dirt driveway toward Mr. Harold's white farmhouse. The steers on either side chew long blades of grass and stare at us from behind the weathered fencing. Do you know what steers are? It's like a cow. They chew and stare and chew. I wonder what they're thinking about today. When I look at Tobin, he just shakes his head. They wouldn't eat Twinkies either, so don't even start, he says before I can even open my mouth. I laugh out loud. Then I'll just say this, I bet they'd love them too. He just rolls his eyes. Mr. Harold is sitting on the porch steps, drinking an icy bottle of cola when we get there. Hello, he calls out to us with a wave. Back for more exploring, are you? You picked a much better day for it. Hot, but at least it isn't storming. Hi, Mr. Harold, I call back, parking my bike next to his blue Ford pickup. Hello, Lemonade. He takes another sip of the cola, then wipes the back of his neck with a red bandana. I see you brought along reinforcements. This is Eliza Rose, Joe Kelly, and Bo Stitch. Pleasure, Mr. Harold nods. So what's on the agenda? We were just hoping to get out past the fence where you said you saw the Bigfoot and do some more investigating, Tobin tells him. You have permission to go out past the fence today? Yes, sir, Tobin says. Daytime permission. Well, that sounds good to me. Mr. Harold smiles. I'll be out in the pasture tending to the steers if you need me. Just holler. Thanks, Mr. Harold, Tobin says, untying his case from the back of his bike. Okay, everybody, we're burning daylight. Let's get a move on. When we make it to the fence where Mr. Harold said he saw something, Tobin sets down the case. Let's break up into two groups, he says, unzipping the case and pulling out the Polaroid. I'm going with Lemonade, Eliza Rose announces, linking arms with me. I turn to her and she smiles. It feels nice to be making friends here like I had back in San Francisco. How about you boys go your way and we go ours, I say. Everyone agrees. Lemonade, you are assigned to still pictures. Tobin hands me the Polaroid camera. I nod and pull the strap over my head. I've got movie camera duty, he continues. Joe, me, and Bo will head east. Lemonade, you and Eliza Rose can head west. We are looking for evidence of any kind. Footprints, hair, scat. What's scat? Eliza Rose whispers to me. I'll tell you later, I whisper back. Eliza Rose raises her hand. What if we see something, she asks. What if we come across an actual Bigfoot? They're mostly nocturnal, but there's always a chance. Take a picture first and foremost. That is very important. Always a picture first. Let me hear you say it. They all look at each other. I don't hear anything, Tobin tells them, putting a hand to his ear. Always a picture first, we drone in unison. We'll also need a special call, in case we see something, to signal the other group. What about a whoo, whoo, Eliza Rose suggests, standing on her tiptoes and waving her arms in the air. No way, Joe Kelly says. A whistle. He sticks 2 fingers in his mouth and lets out a loud screech. I'm not going to slobber all over myself to whistle like that. Eliza Rose puts her hands on her hips. It's easy, Joe tells her. You just wet these 2 fingers, roll your tongue, and how about an owl call like this? Bo cups his mouth with his hands and makes the sound of an owl. Whoo, whoo. What's the difference between that and what I said? Eliza Rose demands. Well, one is a shrill little girly call and the other is a wild bird call. There's a big difference, Bo says. Ooh, Bo, that kid. Okay. I hold up my hands. The call will be one short whoop, like this. I cut my hands around my mouth. Whoop, like that, okay? Whoop. The whoop puts an end to the whole debate, and everyone nods in agreement. Tobin looks at his Bigfoot watch and holds it up to his ear. It's 1300 hours. We will meet back here at exactly 1500 hours to debrief, and not a minute later. He looks right at me and then winds the small silver knob on his watch. Should we all go ahead and synchronize? He asks, squinting down at his arm, still messing with the knob. Joe looks at Bo, and Bo looks at Eliza Rose, and Eliza Rose looks at me. Silence. Tobin looks up at all of us. Well, more silence. What is he talking about now? Eliza Rose finally whispers in my direction. I think it'll take the team a little bit longer to get used to Tobin's very enthusiastic approach to expeditions, etc. But, I mean, it's nice that they're all hanging out together. I wonder how it's going to go. I think that we'll find out next time. So let me know what you think. Maybe some predictions. Maybe you can read each other's predictions and see if you agree or disagree with what you think will happen next. I'll give you a hint about the next chapter. Chapter 42 is called Operation Mr. Harold's Ranch, Part 2. So, let me know what you think that might all be about and what might happen in Operation Mr. Harold's Ranch, Part 2. And I'll see you again soon. Bye!